Welcome to the Westbrook Kit Trailer Assembly video. Today we'll be putting together the 4x6 kit trailer with plank floor and rail sides. If you're assembling a kit trailer without a floor, certain steps will vary. Please watch for instruction prompts along the way. This video will cover all the steps to complete the assembly of the following 4 models. Before unboxing any parts of your trailer, please ensure you have received all of your boxes. If not, please contact us. The registration documentation for the trailer is enclosed in a brown envelope on the outside of box 1. We recommend keeping these documents, along with your bill of sale, in a safe place. For Canadian residents, please match your VIN number with your NVIS form. For U.S. residents, please match your VIN number with your Certificate of Origin title form. You will find the instruction manual inside of box 1. Here's a list of the tools you will need to complete the assembly. You can stop the video at this point to take note of the needed tools. Now let's start the assembly process. Step 1. Stake pocket and grommet installation. All channels have been labeled on the inside with the item code for easy reference. Take the frame channels and your 8 stake pockets. Line the stake pockets up to the pre-drilled holes and secure with 1 4x3 4-inch hex bolts and 1 4-inch lock nuts using a 7 16-inch deep socket. Take your 2 cross channels and install the electrical grommet on both ends. Step 2. Frame assembly. For this step, refer to the frame diagram in your kit trailer assembly instructions for your model. Only hand tighten the hardware during the frame assembly or until you have completed the tongue assembly portion. If you tighten the hardware at this step, you will need to go back and loosen it to install the tongue. The edge of the frame channels can be very sharp. Please wear your safety gloves provided in the kit when handling the frame to prevent injury. Take your front channel, the one with 2 vertical slots, and place it at the front. Take the passenger side channel and position it on the side. The square holes have to be facing down and the marker light holes have to be positioned toward the front of the trailer. Repeat the process for the driver's side. Take the rear channel and place it at the back with the 3 holes facing up. Take your first cross channel and, using a 3/8 by 1.5 inch bolts and nuts, hand tighten it to the top of the side channels as per the diagram in the instructions manual. Take your second cross channel and hand tighten it to the top pre-drilled hole that is parallel to the last square hole. Hand tighten the cross channels only at the top for now, as you will secure the bottom of them when you install the axle. If you have a 4x4 kit trailer, you will need to secure it at the top and bottom. At the front corner, overlap the side channel over the front channel without inserting the side channel inside. Then, use a 3/8 by 3/4 inch bolt and nut to hand tighten the bottom only. At the back corner, insert the side channel inside the back channel and hand tighten the bottom only. Repeat the previous steps for the passenger side. Step 3. Tongue assembly. Start by sliding 1 tongue channel through the vertical slot of the front channel with the angled side at the front. If the tongue isn't aligning with the frame's holes, make sure all bolts are loose before adjusting. Install the electrical grommets on the tongue channel. Repeat the 2 previous steps on the other side of the trailer. Hand tighten the tongue channels to the side channel on top using 3/8 by 1.5 inch hex bolts and nuts, and at the bottom using 3/8 by 3/4 inch hex bolts and nuts. Hand tighten the tongue channels to the front channel using 3/8 by 3/4 inch hex bolts and nuts. Step 4. Tongue connection. Place the tongue connection bracket in position with the threaded holes facing up. Don't slide it all the way in yet. Separate the wires from the harness and feed the yellow and brown wire down the driver's side and the green and brown wire down the passenger side. Leave the white wire at the front. You'll attach it to the coupler channel later. To attach the tongue connection bracket, start by sliding it into one of the side channels, pushing it forward as you insert it into the opposite channel. Be careful not to pinch any wires. Line up the bracket to the pre-drilled holes, and then secure it using 3/8 by 3/4 inch flange bolts on top using a 9 by 16 inch socket. Now that you have completed the tongue assembly, go ahead and secure all the top bolts, including the bolts that connect the tongue channel to the front channel. Step 5. Coupler, hitch, and safety chain. Start by placing the long coupler channel with the opening facing up. Next, grab the safety chain and locate the center link. Insert a 3/8 by 2.5 inch hex bolt through the third hole of the coupler channel, threading it through the center chain link and into the coupler channel. The bolt will be a tight fit. You may need to use a rubber mallet to help it through. At this point, only hand tighten the bolt, as it will be removed at a later point. Secure the coupler to the channel with 3/8 by 3 inch hex bolts and 3/8 inch lock nuts. Tighten these bolts with a 9/16 inch socket and wrench, making sure it's tight enough so the tongue foot doesn't move but the coupler latch can release. Pull the excess wire through the connection bracket all the way through the back, leaving enough at the front to connect the white wire to the chain bolt on the coupler channel. Slide the assembled coupler channel into the tongue connection. Be careful not to pinch any wiring. Line up the holes of the tongue connection bracket. Secure them with 1/2 inch by 3.5 inch hex bolts and 1/2 inch luck nuts using a 3/4 socket and wrench. Remove the lock nut from the chain bolt and place the ground's ring terminal on the bolt. Secure it with the lock nut using a 9/16 socket and wrench. Don't over-tighten to avoid damaging the ring terminal. With the help of another person, move the frame out of the way to begin the installation of the floor. This area where you put the floor will be where you complete the final assembly of the trailer. Step 6. Floor assembly and secure V-connection. All your hardware for floor assembly is located in your floor box. Position all 9 floor planks side by side. Ensure all the planks are facing the same direction by identifying the double notches underneath and laying them at the front. Take one of the U-channels and insert the 3/8 by 3/4 inch flange bolts in 4 of the holes, skipping the middle one. Hand tighten with the 3/8 inch nuts. This will help keep the bolt in place until you install the floor on the frame of the trailer. Slide the 4 planks around the bolts. Then slide the remaining planks into the U-channel. Fasten the planks to the U-channel using the self-tapping screws. Take the second U-channel. Insert 3 3/8 by 3/4 inch flange bolts using the 2 outer holes and the middle hole and hand tighten with the 3/8 nuts. Place the U-channel at the back of the floor on the ground and secure the first corner with a screw. This will allow you to pivot the U-channel in order to fit the other planks. You will need to sit the planks at the very edge of the U-channel. Once all planks are slightly sitting on the U-channel, slide them into place and fasten with screws. Flip the floor and place it in the area that you will be finishing the assembly. Remove the 7 nuts from the front and back U-channels. Set the frame upside down on top of the floor, lining up the front 4 holes and the back 3 holes. Place all nuts on the 7 floor bolts and secure the floor to the frame with 3/8 inch lock nuts. Secure the tongue V connection to the 4 pre-drilled holes of the tongue channel using the cutting screws and a 1/2 inch socket. Now is the time to secure all the remaining bolts of the frame. Step 7. Fender plate and marker light. At this point, if you're working on the ground, you'll need to elevate the trailer 4 or 5 inches off the ground to provide enough clearance for the fender plate installation. Securing the hardware to the fender plate will be more challenging if the floor is already installed. Line up the fender support plate with the frame. Secure it in place with machine screws 10 and 10 lock nuts using a 3/8 inch socket and a Phillips screwdriver. If the holes are not perfectly aligned, use a punch to align them. Repeat on the other side. Take in marker light, remove the nut at the back, and insert the stud and wire into the pre-drilled hole. Tighten with a 10 mm socket. Starting on the driver's side, Carefully separate the brown and yellow wires near the marker light using a knife. Be careful not to expose any wiring. Push the brown wire into the channel of the blue wire connector and slide the marker light wire into the opening of the connector, making sure no wire sticks out. Use pliers to squeeze the metal blade of the connector until it's tight. Check that the blade is fully in place and close the cover. Repeat these steps on the other side of the trailer. Using the zip ties, secure the wiring the frame and cut excess wire at the back, leaving 6 inches left. Step 8. Axle assembly and installation. Before proceeding with the axle assembly, all the bolts on the frame should be tight. Place the leaf spring mounting brackets to the square holes on each side of the frame, making sure the round holes of the brackets are oriented closest to the center. Secure with a 3/8 by 3/4 inch carriage bolt and a 3/8 inch lock nut using a 9/16 inch socket. If there's no cross channel where you're mounting the bracket, use a washer as a spacer. Lay your axle down, ensuring the welded U-brackets are facing up. Place the spring on top of the axle, making sure the bolt lines up with the center hole of the U-brackets. Take the U-bolts and place them around the axle at both sides of the spring. Take a mounting plate and place it on top of the U-bolts with the oval holes facing front to back. Secure, but do not tighten, and repeat on the other side. Make sure that both springs are facing the same direction. Lay the axle with springs into the mounting brackets, making sure the eye of the spring is toward the front and the flat side towards the back. Secure each spring with 9/16 inch hex bolts and nut with a 7/8 inch socket and wrench at front and back of the spring. Do not over-tighten. You want the springs to be able to move a bit. Then tighten all the U-bolts securely. Step 9. Screw floor, fenders and tires installation. Flip the frame with the help of a second person, being sure to take all the safety precautions. Screw the floor in place with the cutting screws using an impact. Position the fender over the fender plate. Insert a 3/8 by 3/4 inch hex flange bolt into the top hole and hand tighten it with a 3/8 inch lock nut, ensuring the nut is inside the fender. Line up and secure the 2 side bolts. Finally, tighten all bolts using a 9/16 inch socket and wrench. Put the tire on the hub and hand tighten to the rim with 1/2 inch wheel nuts. The tapered end should be facing the rim. Use a torque wrench and a 13/16 inch socket to tighten the wheel nuts in a star-shaped pattern. Use torque to 95 feet-pound. Repeat on the other side of the trailer. Step 10. Tail lights, light test, and VIN labels. At the back of the driver's side, you will need to separate the yellow and brown wires with a knife. Strip a 1/4 inch of insulation from the ends of both wires and twist the copper ends. Push each wire into the corresponding hole at the back of the tail light by removing the nuts at the back and running the wire along the recessed groove. Place the license plate holder on the studs, then insert the tail light on the back channel of the trailer and secure using a 10mm socket. Do the same on the passenger side, excluding the license plate holder. Test the lights before using the trailer. Place the VIN label on the driver's side of the tongue channel and put the clear overlay on top. Make sure you have verified your VIN label matches your registration documents. If you do not have rails, your assembly process is complete and you are good to go on the road once you have registered your trailer and attached the license plate. Step 11. Rail side installation. Take one of the rail side and insert the side posts into the stake pockets, lining them up with the stake pocket hole. Secure each side post with a 3/8 16 3/4 inch hex bolt and 3/8 16 lock nut. Repeat the process for all remaining side rails. Attach L brackets to the bottom rail at each corner and fasten it with a 3/8 16 inch by 2.5 inch hex bolt and 3/8 16 hex flange lock nut using a 9/16 inch socket. And now your trailer is ready to use. Thank you for watching the video, and we hope you enjoy your brand new trailer.